Hello and welcome back to MMA Crypt's Fighting Talk. As you can tell from the title, we're going to be all about UFC 167 today. We'll be discussing three major bouts from UFC 167's main card. Okay, that's our topic covered. What about our guest today? Joining us once again is MMA Crypt's Brian Hunt and Greg Marshall. Brian, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, guys.
Greg, how are you today, buddy?
Not bad. Doing good. Looking forward to the weekend's fights.
Alright, let's get things started in round one and the main event for UFC 167, GSP Vs Johnny Hendricks. Now, the UFC have taken the route of promoting Johnny Hendricks' one-punch knockout power in the lead up to this fight. First off, guys, do you think that's enough to dethrone GSP of his title? We all see what Matt Serra did back at UFC 69. Let's start things out with you first, Brian.
Yeah, he's got plenty of power. I'm actually surprised by the odds, as it wouldn't be a shock to me of Hendricks winning. If he touches you, you're hurt, and he's capable of touching GSP. If Serra can KO GSP, no reason to think Hendricks can't.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's definitely got enough there with the power. He's got the wrestling to back it up as well, which makes it all the more potent. Whether it is enough, I don't know.
To me, I think it all comes down to Johnny Hendricks wrestling for me. If he can get back to his feet, if GSP takes him down. Also, I like to see Johnny Hendricks push the pace early in the fight against GSP. For me, once GSP gets a strong start, he tends to build off the first couple of rounds once he starts taking you down. So those are the key points for me to Johnny Hendricks' victory. I don't think he should be too reliant on that one-punch knockout power. Okay, guys, I've been looking at the UFC welterweight rankings. If GSP is victorious this weekend, then it leaves things a little murky as far as his next opponent goes. Let me just get the top three up here, guys. It consists of Johnny Hendricks, his next opponent, Carlos Condit, and Rory McDonald. If he wins, then he has beaten two of those opponents already, and recently too. Number 3 guy, Rory McDonald, he looks like a no-go zone due to their relationship. Do we look outside the top 3 now, guys? Or do we await the winner of Weidman Silver 2, possibly for a super fight? Let's go with you first, Brian.
No, I actually think there's 2 good fights and 1 horrible fight outside of those guys. If Rory wants to step up and actually become a professional fighter and fight for the belt, he's a great one. And then we have Hector. I mean, Hector looked amazing in his debut, and I don't think anybody's going to be upset seeing him fight. Those are 2 really good fights versus GSP. And then we got the bad fight, and that'd be Askren. If they do decide to sign Ben, then that's a freaking horrible fight. But it is a top fight, and God, I'd hate to watch it. But there are 3 legit fights out there for him. But 2 fun to watch, not so much.
Now, I'm sure I could guess why you don't want to see Askren versus GSP, but could you just elaborate for us there, Brian?
Can I say Jake Shields? Can I say John Fitch? No, it's not his style. It's not. He is a great fighter, just hard on the eyes. I can't take away his capabilities, but the wrestling, he's going to look silly standing with GSP. And GSP's wrestling is probably good enough to counter most of Askren's. GSP's got really good wrestling, it's not going to be a fun fight for the eyes. I wouldn't be excited about it. I wouldn't get up early to do a radio show about it. I'm just, blah. It just, yuck. Just don't care. So that's why.
Greg, what do you think's next for GSP if he wins this fight?
Well, I'd like to see GSP Anderson, because I think it's a fight everybody's wanted to see for a long time. But for me, I think it doesn't really matter what we want. I think he's going to retire. I think he's done. There's been too many comments coming out of his camp for about the last 6-7 months now, suggesting that retirement's right round the corner. I think if he wins, that'll be retirement. If he loses, I think they'll chase the rematch.
Do you think the UFC left the Anderson Silva GSP fight a little too long? Because they've been talking about it for a good couple of years now, and instead they put Anderson in a few fights, they put GSP in a few other fights in their own respective divisions. Do you think they waited too long and they sort of fluffed the lines there?
Yeah, I think they have probably waited too long, but I think it's probably partly down to GSP getting injured as well. I think if he'd stayed fit, they might have made the fight sooner. But they've missed an opportunity, because there was 2 years ago, it was what everyone wanted.
Well, for me, if GSP sticks around, I like him to stay in the division personally, and possibly give a outside the top 3 guy a shot. Maybe number 5 ranked Damian Maia for stylistic reasons. GSP likes to wrestle his opponents and take them to the ground. I would be interested to see, first of all, if he would take Maia to the ground, and if he did, what would happen once there. So, all right, let's move on to some predictions for this fight. Brian, who are you taking?
I'm going Hendricks, round 2 KO. I think he's going to catch him. I think he's the most complete fighter that GSP has faced. Shields was just a ground guy, absolutely zero stand up. But Hendricks has good wrestling. I mean, he's got a good wrestling base, and I think GSP is going to be forced to stand with them a little bit too much. And I've not been extremely impressed with GSP as of late. I mean, he's still an amazing fighter, but I see this as a changing of the guard.
Interesting. Greg, what about you?
Me, I'm going to stick with the champ. I think we might even see a finish. D-Rock's been calling it for a while. That obviously we've seen Hendricks struggling when he gets to round 3. If, for example, the Condit fight had went on, I think Condit would have finished him in the 4th. And I've got a funny feeling D-Rock could be right in that GSP will finish the fight in the 4th round via maybe TKO, or maybe when he turns his back, grab the rear naked choke.
Well, that funny feeling must be spinning around the crypt there, Greg, because I think GSP is going to start out strong, and he's going to start to punish Hendricks come round 3 and get the stoppage sometime in round 4. So I'm picking GSP via TKO round 4.
I think I need to start implementing drug testing on the website, guys, because the thought of GSP finishing somebody, really finishing somebody, wow.
Hey,
okay, I got to get a drug testing policy started up here, guys. Let me write down some notes.
I am tipping a 4th round finish, but I'll probably pick decision in the prediction contest, though.
I just think it's long overdue, you know what I mean? We know he's got the capabilities of doing it, and because Greg mentioned the fact of Johnny Hendricks, he does tire. He brings a fast pace early on, and hopefully he does that, but he does fade in later rounds, and that loss to, who did he lose to now, that little wrestler, stocky guy, reminds me of young Matt Hughes.
Ellenberg?
No, Rick Story. That loss to Rick Story, it sort of sticks out for me, and I just can't get over that right now. So, okay, that takes us to round 2, and a very high-profile light heavyweight tilt on the card. Chael Sonnen versus Rashad Evans. The first thing that sticks out to me about this fight, guys, is the wrestling aspect of both fighters. Both fighters are NCAA Division 1 wrestlers. Who do you guys think has the better wrestling? And more interestingly, who do you think will shoot for the first takedown? Let's start with you first, Greg.
Best wrestling, tough one really. Sonnen's probably going to look for the takedown first though, because I think he's got the best chance on the ground. Evans has got the advantage standing up, I think. So I think Sonnen's the one that's going to look to use the wrestling more. Whether he's got an advantage there, I don't know, but I would give him the advantage anyway.
I think Sonnen is the more aggressive, more technical wrestler. Rashad is he's the more athletic wrestler. So as far as better wrestler, I'll have to go with Chael Sonnen. Use it to better effect in a fight than Rashad does. Also, I think Sonnen will look for a takedown first due to him relying on he relies on that base more, and Rashad likes to kickbox a lot more in his fights and set things up. So I'm going to go Sonnen, better wrestler, and I believe Sonnen will shoot first. Brian, what do you think?
I'm actually in complete agreement. Sonnen has a little bit better college wrestling, plus he's got the Greco, so I could actually see Sonnen trying to work him against the cage a little bit also. I think he can neutralize Rashad's speed. And you guys want to talk about a fighter slowing down late in the rounds. Has Rashad looked good in the 3rd round and forever? I mean, he really does slow down in the 3rd round, and I think that's where Sonnen can kind of push it on a little bit for him. And I agree that Rashad does have better stand-up, but I see it being a grinding against the cage and then a takedown from Sonnen in this fight.
All right, guys, we know Sonnen is set up to be the next Ultimate Fighter Brazil coach, opposite Vanderlei Silva. Does the outcome of this fight affect if he coaches, do you think? What's your take on that, Greg?
Win or lose, it makes no difference for Sonnen here, because the tough fight against Vanderlei is pointless. If he wins, he shouldn't be fighting Vanderlei. He should be looking at another top 5 fight and aiming for the title again. So it's totally pointless fighting Vanderlei. So realistically, we should really be wanting Sonnen to lose this to keep the title picture clear. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I sort of think he'll still coach, to be honest with you. Especially now the Brazilian fighters have actually come out and said they want to be trained by Sonnen. Also, I think Glover is next for Jones, and if Glover does get injured, then I think UFC will schedule Jones versus Gustafsson too, because everybody seems to be screaming for that fight. Brian, what do you think?
It doesn't matter. It's such a pointless fight. It's sad. It could be a great tough, but they've screwed that up too, not making it USA versus Brazil. I mean, up here in Alaska, I don't even know if I get to watch this. So now you're taking your best speaker. Sonnen speaks, people listen. And now there's going to be subtitles in one part of the country, and the other part of the country, I'm not sure if they could even watch it. So, country, hell, world, what am I talking about? So no, if he loses, it gives Vanderlei something to nag him about. And that's about it. It's a non-interesting fight. It doesn't do anything for anybody. Maybe Silva can maybe try to get one more hurrah out of it if he was able to beat Sonnen, but it doesn't matter. It's having us fight something scheduled after a fight hasn't even taken place yet is just silly, because it doesn't build anything, and it's kind of really going to take a year off of Sonnen's career. It's going to just waste it, and that kind of bothers me about the whole aspect of it. But it's the UFC; they know it better than I do, so they say.
Do you think that the UFC are still trying to ride the Sonnen versus the Brazil public sort of thing there, Brian, and they sort of just messed it up big time here?
Yeah, because nobody's going to be watching. I mean, it just they got bad ratings last year. I don't think his charisma is going to be understood through subtitles. It's one thing to get 2 or 3 one-liners a week, maybe, but to watch him for 60 minutes, I don't see it going well. I really don't. I think it's a waste of a very marketable individual.
All right, guys, let's get some predictions. Starting with you first, Greg.
For me, I think Sonnen will dictate the fight longer than Evans, and he'll win by decision. I think he's just going to dominate him.
Very interesting. I thought Rashad would have been the favourite here. I actually thought you two guys would have picked Evans. We haven't got yours yet, Brian, but I'm going to go the same. Sonnen via decision. I actually think he'll out-wrestle Rashad for the better part of the fight and pick up possibly a unanimous decision. So, what about you, Brian?
I'm going Sonnen decision, maybe. Rashad is the most up and down fighter there is right now. I mean, 1 week, wow, he looks amazing. Next fight, blah. Then he looks amazing again, then he looks blah. I don't believe any of the talk out of his camp. I think every fighter has that same talk, so it's not going to be a new Rashad or a new this or new that. I just don't know what it's going to be. On Rashad's best day, he beats Sonnen. On his worst day, he doesn't deserve to be in the cage with Sonnen. So I got to go Sonnen decision, but I'm not real confident about it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The Rashad what's shown up against Tito, that totally blew me away. He just absolutely dominated him everywhere. Showed his vast improvements since the first fight. And then I saw the Evans versus Jones, and he seemed, I wouldn't say scared, because obviously not scared. He seemed like worried to engage with Jones. He stayed on the outside. I don't know what it was. He just didn't look right. So, yeah, tend to agree there. He's sort of up and down. Maybe Belfort's rubbed off his, up and down form onto Rashad. All right, guys, let's move on to round 3. It's Rory McDonnell versus Robbie Lawler. Now, I got thinking about this last night. Outside the top 5 of the welterweight division, there isn't really many contenders that stick out apart from Robbie Lawler. The downfall of Lawler used to be his submission defense and wrestling skills, falling short on occasions. Against Koscheck, I think his submission defense looked excellent. His sprawling looked good. Add to that, him training American Top Team, and the fact that Dana White's a massive fan of his. Do you guys think Robbie Lawler could push himself into the title picture in the near future? Start with you first, Brian.
Maybe. I mean, if he beats Rory, that's a big win. It really is a big win. I just don't think he's going to beat Rory. That's the issue. Is again a lot like Hendricks. If he touches you, he can hurt you. But I don't see him as a title type of guy. I see him as a Melvin Manhoff type of fight where it's just fun to watch. And those are the type of fights he needs to be in, kind of like a Chris Lytle, just the entertaining fights. I have a hard time envisioning him and any real legitimate title talk coming up anytime soon, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see.
Greg, what's your take on it?
Well, yeah, he's definitely got the potential. If he knocks out McDonald in this fight, he'll probably be next in line. I don't see why he wouldn't be. But can he knock him out? That's the problem. We've seen McDonald, obviously, a while back when he fought Condit, dominated the fight and then made a mistake and managed to lose when he had the fight pretty much sewn up. So there's every chance that Lawler could make the same mark on him, but I don't imagine he's going to. But he could definitely get a title shot, yeah.
Do you think it hinges all on this Rory McDonald fight, Greg? Do you think if he loses, there's no chance of Robbie Lawler ever coming back into the title picture ever? Or do you think, this is his chance come this weekend?
I think it probably is his chance this weekend. I wouldn't say that there's no chance he could ever get back in the picture, because if he knocks a couple of guys out, then he could be straight back in. But I think this is his best chance. If he loses this, then he drops right down.
For me, I think the key word is could he. I think with his knockout power and the fact he's honed his skills outside the UFC for all these years now, I think he could personally do it. As everyone else, we've seen his power, and it was always his submission defense wrestling. And like I mentioned, against Koscheck, he looked amazing with that. So if he's worked on all that stuff and all those areas, you add all his experience to it now. I'm really interested to see what he does this weekend and outside of this weekend too. Personal feelings, I do think Rory McDonald is too well rounded and is the future of the division right now once GSP goes. Possibly Damian Maia too. I see Rory McDonald and Damian Maia having a few good trilogies down the line. Be a fun fight to watch, but sort of with Brian there, I always think Robbie Lawler may just end up being that sort of fighter you like to watch, but he's always going to be, mid-level, mid-carder sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Alright guys, I want to talk to you about GSP and Rory McDonald's friendship here. We know that they have come out and said they won't fight each other, but as we've seen in this sport, you have to take the opportunities when you can. Now I want to get your thoughts on this, because if Rory McDonald wins against Robbie Lawler, he has to be number one contender, and rightly so. There's no way around it now. Let's get your thoughts first, Brian.
They should fight. They're professionals. It's bullshit that there's even any talk about them not fighting. It's either go away or fight. Do you want to be a champion or not? It drives me crazy. Why should the UFC spend a dime promoting Rory if he doesn't want to be the champion? Put him on Facebook fights. Put him on the first Facebook fight if he doesn't want to be a champion. I don't give a shit if you don't want to be a champion. I just don't care. You want to be the best. Not everybody's going to be the best, but everybody should be trying to be the best. And if he's not willing to fight a friend for the belt, then get him the hell out of there. It's not what I want to see.
So you're thinking that Zuffa should make a stand here, Brian, and maybe there should be some consequences for Rory McDonald.
Absolutely. If they offer him a GSP fight, if both guys win, and he doesn't sign it within 8 seconds, okay, you're done. You're fighting Facebook, and we'll schedule you when we schedule you. You're gonna fight John Smith, December 2014, and we're gonna maybe make it a YouTube fight. No, I don't give a shit about him after that. Be a champ or don't, and go home. I mean, you're weird enough as it is. If you're not willing to be the champ, go be weird on Facebook. I don't need to see you on a main card.
Greg, what about you?
Yeah, totally agree as well. I hate all this friends and teammates and countrymen, we won't fight each other bullshit. Just fight. That's when these guys start out fighting and start training many years ago, they must dream of one thing, and that's to win the title, to be the best there is. So why give that up because you've made a friend? It just makes no sense at all. And not just Rory for that matter. GSP should be the same. He should be wanting to say, right, look, I'm better than this young fucker. I'm gonna prove that I'm better than him. The two of them should be wanting to fight each other to show which one of them is the best. And it beggars belief to me that guys are not willing to fight each other when their dreams when they were younger was to be the best.
For me, Rory McDonnell has got about another 10 to 13 years in the sport. You know, if GSP is such a great friend, he should give him the opportunity to actually secure a future for his family. You know what I mean? Because if he wins that title, it's going to set him up for life, you know? Because once you stop fighting, what do? You see fighters retire now, they just live a normal life, normal day jobs. GSP's set up for life now. He don't ever have to fucking work once he retires, you know what I mean? He can live in his big house. Why can't Rory McDonnell get that shot too? So to me, if he's a true friend, he should give him the shot. Also, if they don't give him the shot as far as the division goes, I still think there's Maya and Jake Ellenberger. You know, they're still worthy challengers to keep the division going. But ultimately, if they will not fight each other, and Rory needs to do something now in terms of getting the title shots. I think he should move up to middleweight and make a run there. Because as soon as he moves up to middleweight, he's not going to be a number one contender. He's going to have at least 3 good fights to get a title shot. So he needs to make a decision now for me come this weekend. See how it goes this weekend and make a decision there. Alright guys, what's your predictions on the fight between Rory McDonnell and Robbie Lawler? Let's start with you first, Brian.
I'm going McDonnell decision. I think he seems content with just doing enough to just get the W now. That could hurt him because if Lawler touches him, it could hurt him a lot. And but I see Robbie Lawler looking too slow, too old against the speed of McDonald. It just I don't think it adds up well for Robbie. I'll be polling for Robbie, but I'm thinking Rory, which bothers me, but that's what I think. So sucks.
Greg, what's your prediction?
Similar to the Hendricks GSP fight for me. Lawler's got the chance with the big power. But McDonald, like Brian just said, Rory's got the better all-round game, and you'd imagine he'll exploit him where he can. I see it being a bit similar to the Ellenberger McDonald fight, except I think Lawler will be more aggressive than Ellenberger was for sure. Ellenberger didn't even throw a punch. And that'll play into McDonald's game as well, because McDonald will be waiting on him coming in, and he'll be looking to exploit him as he comes in. So I think Rory by decision.
As much as I want to say Robbie Lawler, I think Rory McDonnell too. You know, I think he's going to use his Muay Thai clinch in this fight. He's going to hurt Robbie with the knees and elbows. You know, he's going to keep him tight at all times, because once you start creating that space for Robbie Lawler, you know, you only have to slam one of them. So I do believe, because Rory McDonnell's got some wicked Muay Thai, you know, he's got some solid fucking cage grappling too. I think he's just going to keep Robbie Lawler there and just keep punishing him. And I think Robbie Lawler, even though he has shown improvement in his submission defense, I think once he's hurt, he's going to give up that neck, and I think possibly guillotine. So I'm going to have to go Rory McDonnell submission. I think Robbie Lawler might hang on to round 3, to be honest with you. So Rory McDonnell submission round 3. Okay, guys, that's a wrap for today's show. From me, Gregory Stone, Brian Hunt, and Greg Marshall, we hope you all enjoyed the show and have a good weekend watching UFC 167. For MMA Crypt Fighting Talk, see you all next time.